guys, welcome to Same Blood, Different Type, episode 5. Cinco, girl.
Cinco.
That's
crazy.
More than a month. That's crazy.
That is a week more than a month.
Week more than a month.
There are some months with 5 weeks, but yeah.
Oh, also true.
Also so true.
But would you name them? Could you know them?
No, I cannot.
I cannot. We are so glad you're here. We're so blessed to have you guys here.
Yes.
We are just wanting to create a space again where you're safe and you feel comfortable and you feel confident in building and growing your relationship with Christ, because that's what we're all about. So we're just so grateful that you're here with us.
Yes, and if you're not a Christian, you can become one.
You really can.
The Lord's arms are open to everyone.
And if you're here, it's a sign. So just come on over.
Yeah.
Just come on.
Yes.
Okay, so I want to...
Wait, make sure to follow, like, subscribe, and click the little bell thingy.
Ding, ding.
So you know exactly when our episodes drop.
Yes.
And you can be the first to watch.
Yes, be the first one.
Yes.
Speaking of watching.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Let's get into it.
Y'all, they're watching you. Okay? They're watching you. So I'm sure you have seen, it has gone so viral.
Oh my gosh.
That this viral TikTok influencer got arrested for going to Target and replacing barcodes and using those barcodes to buy a haul, an actual Christmas haul. But here's the thing.
Why would you do that?
She posted it.
Yeah.
She was arrested in the same clothing that she posted the TikTok video in. Like the camera has footage of her in that video. Day of. She posts her getting ready for it. She posts her actually grabbing the stuff. And then she posts it, putting it in her car.
Okay, so this is my question.
Yep.
How did she put a barcode over?
I guess you do it while you grab the item or something.
That's wow.
Because it went viral.
That's dedication.
It is. It went that whole hack. It's not a hack. Oh my gosh, but
no, not a mom hack, not a wife hack.
It's a bad hack.
Thief hack.
It went viral a couple months ago because I remember seeing it actually.
Really?
I remember seeing it and saying people are doing this, and in my brain I thought that is so clever. Like it's clever.
Like evilly.
Deceitful.
Clever.
Yeah,
it's just so bad.
But what is driving her to do such things? Like what is happening?
But you know what's the craziest thing out of all that you said was that she's an influencer.
Yes.
And if you watched our episode last week, we talked about like what you're watching, what you're consuming and stuff.
Yep.
And this is the kind of stuff we're consuming.
Yep.
Are the influencers, TikTok influencers.
Yep.
Influencers, period. Instagram.
Yeah.
Not Facebook, because that's not really a place to be an
influence. Yeah, probably not.
But that's what people are watching as influencers, and this is what she did. She stole, but also probably influenced others to be like, "Oh, maybe I can get away with it." Don't do it. You're not gonna get away with it. No, please don't do it.
No, and also, but not only get away with it, but you are influenced by the people that you watch, like we talked about with consuming and the saturation and things like that. But what makes me sad is a lot of people are not going to be influenced to steal. They're going to be influenced to break their bank to achieve what she's achieved. Yeah. And that's the sadder part.
Yeah.
Like they see that and they're like, "Oh, I want to be like her," or I want to, because I mean it's called influencer.
Yeah.
You are being paid to influence people. Yeah. So in my brain, she had the money, but she got greedy.
That's the thing, though.
That's what it feels like.
No,
you don't think so?
She didn't have the money. I really, we don't know, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't think that she had the money.
Really?
Because the whole thing of like keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh.
That's someone who doesn't have the means to keep up with the Joneses, but will do anything to do it.
And her Joneses are probably the other influencers that are at a higher grade than what they're...
Also,
do you know
probably
what I'm saying?
her previous hauls.
Yes.
I looked at her feed, and she does do hauls, like Target hauls, and like, come shopping with me. And if you obviously you have to do one now. I mean, it's Christmas time and stuff like that, and everybody's doing like Christmas hauls or whatever. Mm-hmm. So she had to do it. I mean, she didn't have a choice. Yeah. But instead of just like being real and being the influencer and just looking at the camera and saying, "Y'all, I want to do a haul, but here's a haul on a budget."
Because what's wrong with the budget?
You can do that. People love that kind of stuff.
Budget doesn't mean poor.
She couldn't help herself.
She couldn't help herself. And I think people think...
so sad.
People can see... I mean... People will hear the word budget though and be like, I want to be in a place where I don't have to budget. I don't care how many millions you're making. You should be budgeting. Like,
something
it doesn't matter.
Something that I have learned about budgeting is literally you should look at your bank account every day. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what bracket you're in. Look at your bank account every day. Because you just need to know what's in there.
Yeah.
And even if you're like, oh, I looked yesterday, there's like this much in there. Look again. Because you just never know. Like, you can swipe your card and be like, oh my God, what just came out? And then you don't have the money for, you just never know. You need to look at your bank account every day.
And no, go
I
ahead.
personally look at my budget every day.
Yeah.
I actually do my budget every single day. Like, I have a budget, I have a spreadsheet.
We love budget time.
Oh my God.
We
love it. I make coffee and I do my budget.
Yeah. But I will say this. I also feel like it depends on how you were raised as well.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I could always tell as a family when we were tight.
Oh my God.
Based off of, coming from, parents down.
Yeah.
I could tell when finances were not what, my parents wanted it to look like.
Yeah.
I could feel it. And I believe in being honest. Like, tell your kid, oh baby, no, I'm not buying you that today.
Yeah.
Wait till mommy saves up for it, or whatever. Like, be honest with your kids. That's fine. But it was more associated with, like, we're in a bad mood.
Yes.
When we didn't have the money, I could tell because she was in a bad mood, or I could tell because, this is funny. She would wear her hair a certain way. Have you seen that video when the husbands are like, I know not to mess with my wife when her hair's in a ponytail. So, like, I would know.
It was when, like, her hair was, like, in a bun, a slick back bun. It was like, oh,
you knew there was trouble in the camp. And so for me, growing up seeing that so much, it did instill this unhealthy look when it came to finances.
Yeah.
Like, it affected emotions.
Yeah.
And so I would be the one who would get anxiety to look at my bank account.
Oh, same.
Who would get anxiety to do my budget. Even though I'm good, we're good. Yeah. But the fear of, I need to hold on to it, like, like a squirrel with acorns. Or what am I going to see? What am I going to find?
This.
Yes.
Nothing can come in or out if you're like this.
Nothing can come in. Yeah.
Nothing come in or out,
And so I had to break that because, number one, God. Like, he's going to supply everything that I need. And that doesn't mean all of my needs that I desire, all of my wants. It means my need, like, which is him. He knows what I need and what I need to survive.
Yeah.
And so I had to really release that. And this is not something that's like, oh yeah, I got over this 5 years ago. Like, I had to release that in general because it was so much ingrained in who I am because of the way I grew up.
Honestly, money is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, last I read, it's the number one reason for divorce. And then there's like cheating and whatever else. But money is a really hard subject even in marriages.
Yeah.
Because it's like something you just don't want to address.
Yeah.
So not looking at the bank account every day.
Yeah.
It gets you to where, like, when you finally look at it, you're like, oh my God.
Or,
what thank God. Spend? Or, or, oh my God, thank God there's this much in my bank account.
Yep.
But you have to get used to it and get yourself in a moment where you're just like, okay, I can do it.
Yeah.
I can look at it, whatever it is, I got to do it. But then if you look at it every day, you never have those moments where you're like, okay, let me... Bracing yourself to be like, okay, what's in the account?
You're like, oh, I have wiggle room here. I have, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also putting down every little thing that you spend, like, every day. Like, if my husband got Chick-fil-A and he spent $8.41 at Chick-fil-A, I'm putting that in the budget.
Which the husbands be having lunch.
Chick-fil-A, they do be
the husbands be having lunch, okay? They be eating good at lunch.
They really do. Yeah. My husband actually, he gets lunch at this, is it Gyro or Giro? I don't know.
It's the meat pocket.
Gyros. I say Gyro.
Me too, I say Gyro.
But he gets his gyros at like this fancy place. Well, it's not really fancy, but it looks amazing. And when I look at there, it's like $13.48 or
That's
something
crazy.
like that.
Did that include a drink?
$13.
Did that include a drink?
No.
No, because he goes to 7-Eleven or
he gets like
Walgreens to get the drink.
Yeah. But at the same time, he knows what's in the account.
Yeah.
He doesn't, it's not like after a week, we're like, okay, what did we spend after a week?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You have to look at it. But keeping up with the Joneses is what makes you not look at it. If you want to be like everybody else, it makes you not want to accept how much money you have.
Because in that moment, you're not even thinking about future you. You're thinking about right now and that satisfaction, that instant gratification of you being able to post the haul. So she's not thinking of, oh, I might get arrested
Yeah.
if I get caught. She's thinking of, well, I got to do this because I've built this up. I've become this person. I got to continue that, which is so sad because
it really is.
Not everybody's getting arrested, but how many times in our normal, down to earth life are we doing that? And we might not be getting arrested, but we're arrested mentally.
Yeah.
With comparison, with what status of life you're at, with who's better than who, things like that. And I feel like we can get so caught up in that, and it's really sad because someone actually on TikTok, she said money is not moral. She said, I didn't grow up knowing how to handle money, so it doesn't make me a bad person. So I grew up, and by the age of 20, I was $30,000 in debt.
Oh my God.
And so she actually walked people through her debt, her like getting rid of it. So she ended up filing bankruptcy, blah, blah, blah. But her thing was, I had so much shame around it.
Yeah.
But like, no one taught me or showed me. So I just kept getting credit cards. And so she kept saying money is not moral. And so why feel shame? If you have a problem, let's fix it. If you have a spending problem, get a budget, She loves to send a spreadsheet.
Oh my God.
I do. You gotta do that.
Yeah. And I'm actually, cause like there's people who have like budgets made out for you. You can order them and download whatever. I think I probably spent like $20 total, $25 total on different budgets.
Oh, really?
But every single time, one that I've tried, I never like it as much as
yours. So
as mine. But my husband's a barber, so he gets paid every day. So I have to input every day, and so I had to make my own spreadsheet of a daily income, spreadsheet. Yeah. But I love my budget. I literally love doing it, and I love seeing that number at the end, like how much money's left over. Yes. Are we going to spend that money? Are we going to put it in the savings? Like, what are we going to do with it?
And I think it also leads to a problem that we're facing today with overconsumption, too. Like, obviously, last week we talked about oversaturation when it comes to social media, but overconsuming, like being super materialistic, and like, things. For instance, every Christmas you're getting new decorations every year. And I don't mean like getting little things, because we love a good thrift, okay?
Oh my God, yeah.
Or love getting little added, touches. Yeah, but like getting a new tree, new everything every year, I'm pretty sure you might be fine with what you got last year. And again, do what you can do, because I'm not here to count your money. But what I'm saying is, when we get caught up in that, it leads us to that. Yeah. And there was a TikTok video of this guy, this girl saying this green velvet Santa Claus she bought last year. She bought it for like $25. This Christmas, it was at Goodwill for $3.
Oh my God.
And she was like, this is what overconsumption does. Whoa. You are buying this green velvet Santa with a mustache 1 year, but then the next year you don't even like it anymore. Right. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that's so big, and it makes me think of Philippians 4:11. And at the end it says, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, be content. Let's be content.
Oh my God.
With what we have, who we are, where we're at in life, the money in the bank, the money coming in, the money going out. You have to pay the Ameren bill. You have to pay the Spire bill. Don't hold on. Like she was saying, when you hold it on, nothing comes in or out.
Do you know what sticks out to me most about that scripture? Is it says, I have learned. I have learned.
Oh, that's so good.
It's not something that just comes to you. That you're just, one day you're like, oh my God, I think I'm like super content. Are you serious? Yes. No, you learn how to be content. It's something that you have to practice doing. It's so hard. I remember specifically when I was single, that was the hardest lesson for me to learn, was to be content in my life, because I wanted so badly to be in a relationship. Yeah. And I just was like, how am I supposed to be content if I know that I want something else? I know that I want my future to be marriage and a family. How can I be content with where I am now? That was a hard lesson to learn, but I learned it. It was through practice. It was through reading the scripture, praying about it, having God reveal things to me, open my eyes to things, learning it. It's not just going to come,
I think that's so good. Yeah. Because I think a lot of times we judge ourselves because we're not getting somewhere fast enough, or like, we're not learning this lesson yet, And I think in our lives we've faced so much transition that it feels like I'm always learning. Yeah. It's like I'm learning again. Oh, I'm learning how to be okay in this state. Okay, now I'm transitioning again. Now I'm learning how to transition in this state, Yeah. And so, but God prepared us for this.
Yeah, he did.
He's saying, this is something that I did not just put there.
No.
This is not something you can snap your fingers and say, oh, perfect, like you said.
I'm content.
You have to learn it. And
yes.
I feel like when it comes to where we're at in this day and age with overconsumption, keeping up with the Joneses and all that stuff, let's just learn to be grateful.
Yes.
If you're not grateful, that's okay. If you look around and you say, oh my God, but I just don't like anything I have, that's fine. But let's learn how to like it.
God himself, okay, with God being God, right? Mm-hmm. He could do anything like that. Mm-hmm. But he took 7 days.
Girl, you're trying to preach today.
Right. To create the earth, life, all that, right? Yeah. 7 days when he could have done it like this. But I truly, it's just like clicking to me right now. I truly believe that he did that because he's like, even I had to make it a process.
God's a God of process.
Even it was a process for even me. And so if he could do it in 7 days, right? We strive to be like him, but we will never be exactly like him. He is God. We are not. So it might not take 7 days, but it will be a process to learn that. And I actually, when I think of learn, so if you think of like social studies, right? Mm-hmm. Or things like that, you're just memorization. That's not what this is. Right. It's like math. Yeah. It's learning. Do you remember? Yes. Do you remember, in high school, you would stay on a subject for like a whole
section,
few weeks. Yeah. A whole section to finally learn the concept of dividing fractions or multiplying fractions or whatever the thing is, because it's something that you have to actually practice. There are different concepts to it. And then finally, when you end up taking the test, you've learned exactly how to do it because you've had all these different examples to get you there.
That is
it's literally good. Such a long it's a process, and it's okay if it's a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It's your process, but just know it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. Yeah, and it's not going to happen by you just knowing the scripture. Mm-mm. It's not. You have to actually.
You have to write it on your heart, which is what the word says also. Exactly. And I think it's actually amazing when you think about that, the ability that God had to just snap his fingers and do whatever. Yeah. And he chose that because he is a God of process.
He's a God of process.
He is a God. So I am one who I love things to happen right away.
It's hard to be patient.
I want it now. I want it right now. Okay.
I want it right now.
I'm microwave society. Okay, put that mug in. Ding ding. It's over. It's done. That is me. Truly. Yeah. But I've had to learn to love it, and something that's helped me to kind of see it is having children. Yeah. Like what? Like.
Oh my gosh.
We could talk about it in multiple ways. We could talk about it pregnancy-wise, and then actually seeing them grow.
Talk about a process.
Okay. Oh my Lord. But having toddlers and seeing them grow, you are seeing the hand of God. Like I feel like I understood God even more now that I have kids. Now that I see them grow, now that I see them develop, because it's like, wait, first of all, his love. I mean, God's love is so big for us, and I see that in my children. Yeah. I'm like, dude, he has the same love for this 3-year-old that he does for me. And I can see how much, sometimes it's hard to see it for yourself, but I can see how much he loves my kids. Yeah. And so I feel like we have these things around us that can help us learn to love process. Literally. And we just have to sit back and let it happen to us.
And of course, learn process, being content in that process. And I think we've talked about this in an episode, but not comparing. Yeah. Because when you brought up toddlers, I think about my 2-year-old and my 3-year-old, right? My 2-year-old is my daughter, Lily, and my 3-year-old is my son, Oliver. And they're so close in age that sometimes I forget that Lily is only 2. We've talked about this. Yes. Lily's only 2. Yeah. And there has been a moment where I have compared Lily to Oliver. Because I'm like, she doesn't talk like him. She doesn't know everything he knows. And I have to remember, wait a minute, she's 2. Yeah. I can't compare her to Oliver. But that happens so much in our lives where even in our situation, you might compare yourself to me, or I might compare myself to you. Yeah. But I mean, I'm older. So I might be at a place in my life that's different than yours. But you have to remember, when you compare, you're not thinking of like their process. Like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not there because my life is different than their life. You know what I mean?
But also not even at the same time of that, you went through things that put you where you are. Exactly. I went through things that put me where I'm at. Exactly. You could look at me and say, well, I'd rather have what she had. No, baby. Like, in order to get where I am today, you'd have to also take my struggle.
Exactly.
I have to also take the things I've been through. So you can't compare yourself and want to compare it logically or rightly because you don't even know. You can't just compare where I am now, what you see, and oh my God, she's so happy, she's so joyful, and this and that, and she's got this and she's got that. Well, do you know what I had to go through to get this?
Exactly.
Like what I had to learn from or grow through personally. Like you don't just want someone's ending because if you want their ending, you have to take their whole beginning, middle, and end.
This is so good because I know I keep referencing my single days, but that was the hardest time in my life. Yeah. But I just thought about, I couldn't feel content. I was having such a hard time being content when I was single, but it's because I was comparing myself to other people that were in a relationship. Yeah. And it just made me think, you cannot be content if you're comparing. No, you cannot. It's literally impossible. So if anyone out there, if you're struggling with feeling content and feeling like, I really want to feel okay with where I'm at right now, think about why you're not there and be like, am I comparing myself to other people's lives? That's why you're not being able.
So maybe you need to unfollow. Maybe you need to unfollow. Maybe you need to mute.
Mute.
Maybe you need to, maybe you need to, and I only say unfollow because like, I personally feel like if it's someone you know and you don't want to see their stuff, just mute it, baby. I'm a muter. Because I'm not going to cause the drama. No. But what I mean by unfollow is like those big celebrities. You know, they don't care about your little follow. So unfollow who you need to unfollow. Yes. Mute who you need to mute. So you don't compare. Yes. That is the oversaturation that we talked about last week. Yep. You are oversaturating yourself with these people who do spend thousands of dollars at Target every week. Yeah. And maybe you're trying to save it for a car. So maybe you have it, but just not right now. Exactly. And that's okay. And okay. I feel like it's literally, it can lead you to wanting to be perfect. Yes. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like it leads you right there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like you just feel like you have to do everything. Everything has to be a certain way, and that's just not how life is. It truly isn't. Life, obviously, as you guys know, because you've been through things, of course, but life is very up and down. Yeah. It's very up and down, but with God and being content, you don't feel it. No. You know? You really don't. Yeah. It's like, have you driven, like, different cars, right? You drive a small car, and you feel every bump in the road. Yeah. And you drive a big car that's, like, newer, and you feel nothing. You're like, on the road. Right. It's still the same bumps. The road is still bumpy, but it's just that you're in a car where you don't feel the bumps. And that's literally
And you
life.
Choose that car.
You choose.
So you choose if you feel the bumps more or not.
Yeah, and the Lord doesn't prevent life from happening. God's not like, hey, if you follow me, I'm going to make you have the easiest life ever. Like, everything's going to go away. Yep. Like, every hard time's going to go away. That's not how it works. But what he does do is help you get through life. Yeah. He walks you through it to where you don't feel every bump in the road. You don't feel it like so harshly because the Lord has, walked you through it and helped you through it. Yeah. But life still happens. We've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. Yeah. Okay? But we're here because God.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest struggles that from going through a lot, I've always had this issue of being a perfectionist and going through a lot openly where people can see is the opposite of perfection. So it was really hard for me that I knew it was going to bring healing to be open and honest about certain things, but it also messed up that image of perfection. Yeah. And that was really hard for me because I've dealt with that for my whole growing up. I mean, going to school and one of my teachers
salutatorian at her.
I was. Going to school. I remember in 3rd grade, a teacher accidentally put a 0 in, and it was supposed to be 100. So I got a C, and I was like, "That's not right." Like I was stressed. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, "That's not right." So my parents actually went up to the school, and my teacher was like, "Oh my God, yeah, look, I see. I put a 0 in instead of 100," and I was like. Which we should have caught the signs then. Right. But I was crying. Wow. It led to another instance in high school where I was crying because I got a D in personal finance. I don't know why that class was so hard. But long story short.
Finance is hard.
To me, at that time in my life, my value was how well I was doing. And so that really was not helping my perfectionism. I always grew up thinking I have to, well, I didn't grow up thinking this. It was kind of given to us.
Yeah.
You marry the first person you date.
Yeah.
So when that did not happen, hallelujah, I'm like,
God.
is my image not perfect anymore? Am I not this perfect person?
What's wrong with me?
Now look at me. I'm messed up because now I'm not perfect. I'm not lining up with what was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And
such an impossible feat.
It is. It is. And it leads to guilt.
Yeah.
And then guilt leads to condemnation.
Yep.
And it just all follows you just down a spiral of just not good.
Yeah. When you can't reach that whatever because everybody's perfect is different.
It's different. Yeah. I love that.
So if you're a perfectionist, which I am not exactly a perfectionist, I do want things to go a certain way, and change sometimes is a little difficult, but I don't need like everything. Like I wasn't like that in school.
Yeah,
like I was kind of like an average student. I really didn't
well, you're so smart.
No one's as smart as
you.
me.
No one's as smart as you.
But I'm not exactly a perfectionist.
Yeah.
But there is an expectation that I do have in life sometimes that when I don't reach it, it like messes me. Like I'm just like, what's going on? Why?
Yeah.
But you can never be perfect. Whatever your perfect is, whether it comes from what you see on social media, what you've always thought your life was going to be. Like for the longest time, I thought I was going to have all my kids by the time I was 25.
Yeah.
That did not happen. You know, I had all my kids by the time I was 34. Because my son is 10 months old.
Oh, yep.
34, so that's almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years later.
Later than I thought. But and it was hard when my life wasn't turning out the way that I thought it was going to be. So whatever your perfect is, it's impossible to reach.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
And I don't mean impossible like it's going to take forever to reach it. It's actually
not possible
to have a perfect life.
Yeah.
And whatever you see on social media are snapshots and
they're highlights.
Small little highlights. It's a highlight reel of someone's life. And you can never be perfect. So whatever you think you're like, oh, I just got to reach this. I just got to be this. This has to happen. No.
Yeah, no.
Don't go in with those kinds of expectations because life is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then when you can't reach that perfect level that you think you're supposed to reach, then you feel guilty.
Yeah, you do.
Because you're like, what did I do to make it to where my life didn't end up the way that I wanted it to?
And then you put the blame on yourself.
Yes. And all along, God was like, this is never even what I wanted for you. I never said, God's like, I didn't say you were going to be married and have all your kids by 24.
That wasn't perfect to me.
Did you get that from me?
Yeah.
Because he's like, that's not what I had for you.
He's like, I had something down different. That's weird.
It's like, wait a minute. These are not my notes.
This is not the life for her.
Right. But you feel guilty. And that actually, I have a scripture that I wanted to bring up. 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9. And this is in the NLT version. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weakness so that the power of Christ can work through me. And God, the scripture is so good because the fact that it says, so that the power of Christ can work in me, it's almost like you're settling in that weakness. You're like, you know what?
Okay. I can be here.
I'm weak.
And that's okay.
I'm not super strong. Like the Lord is strong for me. And that's something that you should settle in that.
Yeah.
Like you are human. Like we are not meant to be more than anything but perfect, human. Yeah, we're just not. And so when you can settle in that so that God can be your strength, that just changes your whole perspective.
Yeah.
Because you need to let him be your strength. And only way you can let him be your strength is how? To be weak.
And it really, that's so good. And it brings me to one of the biggest parts that I would always feel lesser than and never feel like I was reaching that mark was in this daily devotion. So the way we grew up was, which pray and read. That should be something that is on that list, consistently. But the way we grew up was more so like, if you don't do it every day, you're not as good as everybody else who does, basically, because everybody else does, right? You're the only one that's struggling with it.
Yeah.
And so for me, this perfectionism, guilt, condemnation thing would look like this. I'm like, okay, Mariah, you're doing this. You're gonna pray and read every day. You're gonna have a streak of just you pray for an hour or pray for a good at least 30 minutes and read a whole whatever every single day. Right?
Whole 5 chapters.
Yeah. And then I miss a day. And this is all the way in high school. Okay, this is not just adult life. This is in high school too.
Yeah.
And it followed me because habits make you.
Yeah.
And then I miss a day, right? And then when I miss a day, I immediately feel guilty. After I feel guilty, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm shameful now. I feel shame.
Yeah.
So now this guilt has actually driven me to not even be able to pray the next day. You want to know why? Because I feel like I'm not even worth it.
Yeah.
I feel like God doesn't even want to hear me because I missed one day. I missed Tuesday. So now God's actually mad at me. And that fear is going to lead me to not do anything Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I'm just going to freeze.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to look up one day and realize, oh my God, I have not had one-on-one time with God in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then that 2 weeks is going to make me feel even worse. So that's what that perfectionism, guilt, condemnation looks like, because then I am in turn literally pulling myself away from God instead of just saying, God, I'm so sorry. And then immediately feeling that love from him. Yeah. Immediately still feeling his presence as if he was going to take his presence away from me because I missed a day.
Yeah.
And then in seasons of life, it changes too. I might have a routine down, but then I get pregnant and everything changes.
Gosh. Yeah.
And then I can't even stay up because I'm so sleepy. And then I'm having acid reflux. So then I can't even sit up straight. And then I'm like, okay, but when I have the baby, I got it. But then I have the baby and then she's up at 3 a.m, 2 a.m, 1 a.m.
And life.
And then life. And so then you keep getting in this cycle of feeling unworthy of getting back on track.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I literally used to feel guilty if I didn't pray for an hour.
Yep.
Literally. And you know how hard it is sometimes to pray for an hour when you have children?
Oh my God.
It's so hard. Like, nap time is the time where you have to get your devotion in, unless you're going to pray with them. But really, if you're praying with them, you're still watching them. And like, it's like kind of crazy.
And they're doing what they can.
They're doing what they can.
Yeah.
But I used to feel guilty if I didn't pray for an hour. And then the idea of having to pray for an hour used to make me be like, oh my God, I don't have an hour, so I might as well just not pray.
Yep.
Or I'll just wait till I have the hour to pray, and then you end up not praying.
Because you're not going to have the hour.
Because sometimes you're just not going to have that hour. So, but feeling guilty for that. And God's like, no, but like I made you.
Yeah.
Like I know you're human.
And he's like, remember I said pray without ceasing? Just talk to me.
Yeah, just talk to me throughout the day. Not he's like, just talk to me throughout the day. And
no. But time. Like that's still beautiful.
Yeah, and he's okay that you're human because he made you that way. Yeah. And you're gonna make mistakes. And he didn't say that being human was being perfect. Mm-mm. He said being human is making mistakes. Why did he die for us on the cross?
Yeah. Yes. If we were meant to achieve it, why would he have done that? If we were meant to achieve perfection in itself, what would be the point?
And feeling guilty and condemnation is not even of God. Mm-mm. Because honestly, if you are living your life feeling guilty and always in condemnation, what was the point?
You're negating
of the sacrifice
the cross
and the blood that covers you.
Yeah.
What was the point of it?
Yeah.
Because then you're just guilty.
You're like, you're almost telling Jesus, I see your sacrifice. I'm going to raise you one. Because you can't, there's no way you can cover this too.
Yeah.
But he
like
can.
When I ask you to forgive me, I know that you're not going to. Even though he said that he was going to. So like.
But for some reason in our brains.
We're like, no,
but not us though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not for this. He can't forgive us. I haven't prayed. And then, there's been a season in my life where, especially when I first started having kids, where devotion was really hard. It was so hard to really get that like routine together because your kids are small.
Yeah.
You're distracted all the time. They're screaming and yelling, all that stuff, right? So I would go all this time without doing my devotion. And then if I needed God, like I actually felt like, oh my God, like I'm emotional or I need to pray because I'm like feeling so. I would be like, I can't pray now that I need him because why? I wasn't praying. And then you're not even praying. Yes. And I have literally been like, I feel too guilty to pray because now I'm praying because I need him. And now it's like, oh, so now you only pray to me when you need me?
Yep.
But that's not God.
And he's just right there saying, baby, just open the door.
To me. It's fine.
Just come.
Not and of course, like I love all the things about God because God is loving, God is gentle, but he's also fierce and he's also like he has like judgment. He had like he's God. Like just like how my kids see me all different ways. They see me loving.
Do they ever?
They see me kind, and they also see me disciplined. Like that's just how it is. Yeah. So there's all these factors of God, but of course, ultimately, he's loving.
And through all of those, though, he still shows love in all of them.
Yes, but he expects us to keep trying.
Yes,
keep going. Keep striving to do better every day.
Yeah.
That's something that he expects of us and requires of us. Like, we can't just fall into doing the wrong thing
over and over again.
Yeah, we need to pick ourselves up and keep trying.
And get you someone that you can have these uplifting spiritual conversations. We just had one last night.
Yes. Yeah.
And I woke up feeling that motivation and excitement to do better in the places that I need to do better in.
Yeah.
Because we have those conversations.
Yeah.
And we're always making sure we're right back on that track. And we're always making sure. And I think that's so important in this walk with Christ, that you can like, synergy is a real thing.
Yeah.
You can have synergy about your walk with God. Like, that's amazing. And I think for us, we talk about, the transitions we've made and our lives being kind of completely different than what they were before. But I think in a real moment, there was a time where I don't know if I wasn't mad. I wasn't mad at God, but I almost was just like, I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because life talk about the perfectionism. I would have never thought in 2021 that I would have been in this situation that we are in now.
Yeah.
And now, is it better? 100 million times.
Oh yeah.
However, back then, I didn't think this was possible. So there was a time where I was really confused with God. I was really like, I don't even know what I would say in prayer.
Yeah.
Because I feel like my life has literally turned upside down. And then now the things that I knew are now open and out, but are just ruining. Like, it just felt like even in honesty, my life is still getting ruined. Yeah. And it just was a big chunk of the end of 2021, and I mean most of 2022, of just a lot of confusion and a lot of hurt. But the most amazing thing about God is, even in those times, I still felt his love. And I still have moments where it would almost be like that lens, like we talked about, would clear. Yeah. And it would get me through the next couple things. And then something would come out and I'm like, why are they saying that? And I'm crying again and I'm like, you know what, I'm done. And then I have that other moment where I'm just in his presence and I feel just saturated by him. And then, so I think no matter where you are in life, even if you're going through something so traumatic or so life-changing, like, just don't forget that God's still going to be there for you. Yes. And just keep striving to be better. I never once wanted to turn my back on God. No. I was confused because I was like, did you turn your back on me? Right. But I never was like, okay, deuces. But I knew if I just kept trying, it would lead me to something great. And I mean, it did.
It did, yeah. And this is not in my notes. Yeah. But I can look back at like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. And I remember a specific moment where I was sitting in my pastor's office and I was broken. Mm-hmm. I mean, the sadness. Broken. Yeah, so completely broken. The sadness, the hurts, the pain, the emotional pain that I was feeling in that moment. And I can remember it like it was yesterday, because what a difference. Like, what a difference. And this is in my walk with God. This is still in a moment of serving the Lord. Yeah. Like, never have I stepped away fully from the Lord. Yeah. Since life be, blowing up or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I could look back at that and the most amazing thing is, like, I didn't know I'd be here today. Mm-hmm. That I have true joy. Yeah. I have, like, and sometimes maybe not every day I feel happy, because maybe sometimes, like, you're moody or you just feel like, oh my God, my life, because happiness is not joy. No, it's not. I'd rather have joy. If you don't feel happy, that doesn't mean you don't have joy. But I am genuinely happy now, especially. But I didn't think I'd be here. Yeah. I truly couldn't see God turning my emotions around. I really couldn't. I felt like I was going to be sad for a very long time. Yeah. Like, I'm like, I don't see, and this is 2 years later, and I am nowhere near the sadness I felt. Yeah. And I can't even imagine feeling that right now. Like, oh my God. It would just break my heart.
There was like a lack of, like, our hope was always in Jesus, right? But there was a lack of hope because everything we knew, literally, everything we knew changed. And in that moment, every idea that I had for my life flipped.
Yeah.
And then knowing and being grateful for the freedom to speak out on where we came from and things that happened in our lives, the freedom was met with, oh my God, but now everyone's going to see me as what I come from and what I am.
Yeah.
But then I know I need to, it was just like a lot. And go ahead.
I was saying, you know what, like, obviously, like, I'm not going to delve into our whole testimony or whatever, but even if, like, because your pain and your hurt, what you've gone through, is so different for everybody's life. Mm-hmm. So what I've gone through can seem so huge to someone else and be like, and someone else can be like, well, I haven't gone through what they've gone through, but I feel so broken and sad. It's all relative to your life. So maybe you haven't gone through crazy traumatic experiences like other people have or like we have. Yeah. But whatever big that's happening in your life that might feel so like life-changing and traumatic, that's okay, and the Lord is still validated. Still pull you out. Yeah, like no matter how small it might be compared to other people's stories, it's not small in your life, and God can really turn it around. Same. Exactly.
His power is literally the same. The same power that picked us up off the ground, literally can pick you up off the ground. The same power that changed our lives around can change your life.
Literally change your life around, and He can pull you from such a deep, dark sadness, and He can pull you from that into the light. Yeah. And whether you feel depressed or you feel angry all the time or you just feel like you don't even know what you feel, you're just like blah all the time, the Lord can really pull you out of that. I feel like this turned into like a total like Jesus is so good.
Yeah, because
He is. There's nothing He cannot do.
Yeah.
There's nothing He cannot do besides bad.
Yeah, besides bad.
He can only do good, and He does only good in your life.
Yeah. And this kind of leads us to, you know, it's obviously when you're watching this, you had great food yesterday. And hopefully you have food for the next week because it's Thanksgiving. But it leads us to, like, us wanting to talk about what we're thankful for. Yeah. Really quick. And my first thing on here, and I didn't even know where this was going to turn into, but my first thing on here was restoration. He makes all things new. And I am always the one with the warm eyes on these episodes. I promise you, this is not script. This was not in here. Okay?
Cry.
But I am so grateful for God's restoration power.
Yes.
Like, He has restored so many things that I thought would never be restored. Yeah. In me and in my life. And I am so overwhelmingly grateful and thankful that He chose me to go through those things so I could see just how much power He has to restore. Yeah. I would not know how much power He has to restore if I didn't go through things I went through. Yeah. And He is a God of restoration. I'm so thankful. That's my number one for restoration.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's beautiful. My number one thing not number one, but the thing that comes to mind right now when I'm thinking about being grateful is my family. Yeah. I am so thankful for my family. Yeah. And I have a big family, and I don't just mean blood. My sister, my husband, my children, but just everyone. You know who my family is. You know who you are if you're family. But I'm thankful for the love of family, and that God blesses us to love others and blesses us with other people's love. Like I truly am so thankful for that. Yeah, like, for real.
Yeah. Ditto to that. That was my second one. Was my family, my husband. Again, it matters who you marry.
It really does.
And when I married my husband, I didn't know it was all coming, and he didn't know it was all coming, but we would never trade it for anything because the love that we have for each other and the love that God has for us. But my last one funny thing, I am so thankful for chili candy.
Chili candy.
Literally, you guys.
Yummy.
We love a good Mexican candy, okay? Oh my God. We found these Picho things at Home Goods.
So good. Oh my gosh.
So fire.
I think we ate too many.
We did eat too many
the other night because I was so queasy.
We were both queasy.
So queasy.
Yeah, because we're calorie counting.
But they were worth it though.
But I did not count those calories. Okay,
no, I did
those
not
were not in my
calories.
little counts.
I did not.
Do you have a funny one? Is that what you're thinking?
I don't have a funny one. Okay. But I did want to specifically hop on the bandwagon of being thankful for my husband. Yeah. Truly, like, we grew up in a family that I just thought that my family was like, oh my God, once I get married, like he's going to be so grateful for my family.
Huh?
And yeah. But my husband is the most sane man that I know, that I've ever met in my life. And I'm so thankful because truly I feel like who you marry can make or break you when it comes to hard times happening in your life.
Yeah.
And in my hard times, my husband has kept me sane.
Yeah.
Truly has kept me level-headed and has brought me, like, when I've been in a moment where I'm like, what's going on? Just like, what is happening? He has brought me back to the ground.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like I romanticize everything, good and bad. You know, if you're a romantic thinker, you can make things worse in your head. You can make things better in your head.
Yeah.
And my husband has always kept me so grounded, and I'm thankful for that because I truly do not feel like I could be sane today if I didn't have him. Truly,
it's like we're grateful for us having sound minds, but we're grateful for our husbands having sound minds
because he kept my mind sound.
Yeah,
So I'm really thankful for that.
Yeah, and we just hope and pray that truly we pray before we have these podcasts.
Yes,
because we know our lives are meant for not just us.
Yeah.
What we go through when we go through bad things, I'm truly thinking it's not just for me, it's to help someone else get through. And so we just pray and hope that you can get some hope and not confidence, but just a surety that God's got you in whatever season you're in. And remember the scriptures that we talked about, being content, and that he's made you for, he's made you for this. You got it. Like, you got it. And we just thank you for watching, and we thank you for listening. And we want to hear from you. We want to, if you have a prayer request, we want to pray for you. We want to just be able to be just a soundboard,
a light in your day. And also comment what you're thankful for. That'd be so great. Yes. What did you think about yesterday? And comment that and we would like to know what you're thankful for.
Yes.
And then follow.
Yes.
Like it, share it, and click the little notification button so you know when our episode drops.
And we're thankful for you.
For you.
We will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.